Hey, this is Notser, and today we're going to be talking about the Z-44. This was recently added to the game as of 9.11. You can obtain it for 228,000 coal or purchase a bundle in the premium shop. I'm sure it's quite a bit of doubloons because it is a tier 9. I'm going to compare it to the Z-46, the other German tier 9 DD. The differences, also talk about my build, the equipment that comes with the ship, and then I'm going to showcase a match, hopefully answering any and all questions you might have on the ship and whether you have any interest in spending your coal on it or buying it in its bundle. Now, as far as armor is concerned, it's 19 millimeters on the hull and it's 13 millimeters on the superstructure, and that is about it. Obviously, it's a DD. That is a mirror image to the 46, so there is no armor differences whatsoever between them, and they are very similar in shape, as you can plainly see, but that's where all the similarities end. This has 5 guns on 5 different gun turrets, so it has a similar loadout to the Fletcher, whereas the 46 has 3 gun turrets with 6 guns total, which is similar to something like the Gearing, or obviously the 52. That difference influences how you are going to gun duel in this. Unfortunately, because of the number of guns, you probably will have to show more sides to get the higher percentage. But it is as maneuverable, it's the same size. It does have worse concealment, 6.1 possible versus 5.9 on the 46. Something to consider. But you do get improved torpedo systems with all of these sacrifices. So, versus the 46 has 8 torpedoes with 2 launchers, has a maximum range of 10 kilometers, and the torpedo speed with my build is 70 knots. 44 has 12-kilometer torpedoes and 10 of them on 2 launchers. So it has 2 extra torpedoes, and they go 2 kilometers further. The torpedo speed right now is 67 knots, so a little bit slower, but not much. You do give up on torpedo damage, though. So yes, you have 2 extra torpedoes, but each torpedo does less damage compared to the 46. Other differences, not really the AA systems, although now that I look at it, it is very different. Obviously, the 46 has flak, and the 44 does not. But the 44 has better continuous at short range. But having no flak really means that something like the FDR is going to be an issue. A huge issue. And there's nothing you can do about it in the 44. The 44 is very similar to a Japanese DD, where it needs to have stealth and torpedo hits to be successful. And that's a lot to ask for a ship line to become even more one-dimensional. Well, one-dimensional. Giving up your gun's effectiveness is a big issue. And on top of having one less gun and having it on a less advantageous position, you also do not have any hydroacoustic search. So the 44 gives up a lot to have that extra torpedo emphasis. In my opinion, too much. Now, as far as the upgrades that I would emphasize torpedoes. It's your bread and butter. It's the thing that you can do the best. You have to commit to it. There's no hydro to have any extra speccing into, so there's no concern in slot 2 for anything other than engine room protection. Slot 2 is where you would have the enhanced hydroacoustic as an available option. You can find that in the armory, of course. Now, I like to maneuver. I prefer steering gears over rudder. I find that stationary play and smoke is just a radar bait or torpedo bait. But yes, I do pick up all of the torpedo skills. One thing in particular in slot 6, the differences between that and the 46 build, you notice I have gun reload. I can get by with that because the turret traverse is way inferior on the 44 versus the 46. We're thinking much more Japanese in characteristics compared to the 46. The 46 is much quicker and much more akin to a gunboat at a higher tier. So big downsides across the board, and really stuff that you have to consider. Now, as far as the commander build, only thing that I would really emphasize is, turret traverse. This is like a Shimakaze. Think of it as a Shima. You really need to emphasize the torpedoes, emphasize radio location, emphasize your stealth, your 6.1 stealth with no hydro, and also bring up the turret traverse because it's bad. It's really bad, and it leaves it very vulnerable to literally everything. So let's see this in action. Hopefully the game is a little bit better than what is initially presented. This video is sponsored by the Ridge Wallet. The Ridge Wallet is designed with modern living in mind. It holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash while maintaining a slimmer design compared to a more traditional wallet. There are over 30 colors and styles available, including 2 brand new styles. We have Damascus, and then we also have Stone Washed. Both of these and more can be found at ridge.com. The wallets come with a lifetime warranty and over 40,000 5-star reviews. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it, they'll let you test drive it for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't absolutely love it. The Ridge wallet is the perfect gift for this holiday season. Visit ridge.com/Notser and use the offer code Notser for a 10% off your next purchase today. So the Z-44. Here we go. Let's showcase this match. Now, this is a good match. I have played a lot of matches in the Z-44 and had very bad gameplay. Very similar to the Shima. Sometimes you just get terrible matchups for you. Shimakaze hates aircraft carriers. Guess what? The 44 hates aircraft carriers. This obviously doesn't have hydro. So in a similar situation such as this, where 2 DDs are clearly contesting a point like B, if I was in a 46, I could use hydro and possibly spot the target. And clearly someone is doing just that against me. And I did a quick check to see, is it indeed a possible 46 that is hunting me? This could not be a more clear as day difference between the 2 ships, mind you. I didn't plan on this being, I didn't even remember that I had this little duel happening. But we're giving ground, obviously, and yep, sure enough, it's a 46. So we're going to move back. I do want to send torpedoes. I know he has hydro, obviously, but I'm really just trying to move him out and push him. This is really not ideal, obviously. Because it's German, you fire AP when they're broadside. I'm looking for a little bit more broadside. We got 50-50 there, where one pin, the other ricocheted, but we're able to sort of move him off a little bit. He clearly sees the torpedoes, and I'm hoping that that will move him off further, and it does look like he's moving back into B point, or at the very least turning away from the torpedoes. So we're not going to hit, but we weren't ever going to. They're under hydro. Now look at the reload rate, though. That's a pretty sizable advantage if we can take advantage of it. A lot of times you can't, though, and that's one of the things that needs to be considered if you have any interest in the 44. You know, after I've said it has no flak, it has worse concealment, it has no hydro, it has a worse gun system, both less guns and worse turret traverse. There's not a lot of good here, considering also that the German torpedoes, the differences between the 46 and the 44, so the supposed excuse for why all those other traits are worse, you get 30-second quicker torpedo reload and 2 extra torpedoes, but your torpedoes do about 1,000 less damage. So how much is it really? You know? And that's honestly where I'm at. It's like hydroacoustic is a game changer. And it's going to be an even bigger game changer against submarines. The huge elephant in the room, you know, any day now, we might hear that submarines are coming out in 3 months because they've been under testing for a really long time. It obviously is going to continue, but hydroacoustic is built to counteract submarines. Every German will love having hydro. Every German will be improved just by the fact that they get something that has even more utility and does a really great job in that matchup. You're not getting that either here. So it's just a lot to give up. Too much. I think that if I'm honest, I would not recommend buying this ship with either doubloons or coal. It's very awkward to play. There are cool things that can happen, and you will see them. But in general, it's just you're giving up a lot before you even land your first torpedo. Now, we have this enemy DD. He's coming this way. We do have an island that's blocking, so this is a free chance to do damage. And we get some AP damage. Maybe if I fired HE, I would have just killed him outright without having ricochets. It's one of those things where, as a German, if you're not firing AP shells, you're not going to get a benefit to it. It has a lot of extra damage, so if he was perfectly broadside and I did locate my shells rather well, I would have had a massive boost in damage. Conversely, the HE shells do really low damage, but have a lot of penetration. They receive the same exact HE penetration buff that the entire German DD line has now. Their HE can pen 32 millimeters, so that's fantastic. And there are times where you do end up sitting in your smoke and firing your guns on cooldown, and it works out pretty well if you can do that. Where your gun systems really fail is in any situation against another DD. That is very awkward and challenging, and one that I don't expect you to win most of the time if you come into it with less health. And it's just the facts of life. It's a tough design, and it's made even tougher by the stiffness of the gun systems and the lack of guns total. So we obviously engaging this guy. He's nearly in a perfect position for AP to do absolute massive damage, and I just wanted to soften his angle. We do conveniently line up and use the island to block the rest of detection, so there's no one else in range, and this is free damage. This is a lot of your situational gun systems. You'll be firing as if you are more like a light cruiser or support DD and gun system. You're not going to rely on this. This is not something that you're like, yeah, I feel great about the damage I'm doing. It's more like, can I do any damage to help at any point because I can't actually torp them. They're behind an island. We got an enemy battleship and an enemy cruiser, though. The battleship will not enjoy going up against us, and in a short-range situation with torpedoes, we've got 2 extra, so our alpha is higher, for sure. It's just, how frequently do you actually land all your torpedoes, right? You probably would value speed in order to have the highest chance of hitting torpedoes. It's kind of a situation where it's, if you look at the Holland, it has a lot of speed in its torpedoes, and because of that speed, it's a higher chance that all of its torpedoes will hit. The slower the torpedoes move, the easier it is for a ship to avoid a section of it. So yeah, you get more, but you also have slower torps. And then there's this thought, well, okay, since the torpedoes are slow, since I have extra range, I could invest it into torpedo acceleration as a commander skill. Now, torpedo acceleration will give you a superior speed compared to that of the 46. And it might be necessary to create a better sense of variety between the two, but I would not encourage having to play closer with the ship. One of the reasons I say that is because of the low cooldown on the torpedoes. It's about 65 seconds with a full torpedo build. It's a real tough issue to try and get within 12 kilometers at 65. Imagine 9.6 with your shorter range torpedoes. It's even tougher. So there's a lot of trade-offs that you have to understand if you are picking up the 44. And, there's obviously people who would like this. If you want an AP skewed Shimakaze, there's really nothing closer. Because this has a lot of AP damage, it has a lot of torpedo emphasis, and it doesn't have much more than that. So if you're someone who really enjoys certain aspects of the Shima, without, of course, the improved concealment, which is a really big benefit, then yeah, this is some ship you could consider. And it is a tier 9, so it does get premium income. But honestly, it's not good enough as a tier 9 to value the premium income because of the inconsistency that torpedoes actually bring to the game. You could have a terrible matchup. You could be literally against your counterpart with hydroacoustic. Like all the Germans. Could be just a German team. And you'll never hit torps. And if you don't hit torps, well, you're not valuable, and your team's probably already lost. That's the case with a lot of one-dimensional designs, and honestly, this is one-dimensional. But we are getting some hits on the Leon, and we did get some hits on the, well, we're hoping to get some hits on the Soyuz. You know what, I end up just deciding to use smoke, and we're going to fire AP in his broadside, and it's going to work really well, because German AP works really well. And there's nothing here that's like, oh yeah, I'm disappointed, except for that shot. Where did those shells drop? Need to locate the shells a little bit better, a little bit higher into the superstructure to really get the damage. Okay, wow. There we go. It only took like 5 salvos, and then we finally located it. But we took out the guy in the broadside, and now we consider, do we stay in this, or do we go out looking for the Leon? The Leon might very easily not have been coming right toward us, and maybe he went behind the island, and maybe it's a full ambush. Anything's possible. He could have so many intentions. And it does look like he got close to the island, but instead of ambushing, he actually kind of almost got ambushed. If I were to get a friendly spot and send torps, he would not have seen me, and he would not have felt the danger. Having said that, he saw me. He slowed his momentum, as you plainly saw on the torpedo. That's why I didn't send the second one. And then now he's probably going to pick it back up once he verifies that, okay, torpedoes have been sent, and they aren't going to hit me. But I'm trying to move behind him, and I'm trying to punish him for avoiding my first set. And, you know, by the time we get in position, our first set will probably be at like 10 seconds, which then can easily transition into another send. So it is nice to basically have 15 torpedoes if you are doing a sort of traditional attack of sending launchers based on the need. You can basically send 3 in short succession, just like that, and hopefully land on the enemy target and knock him out. Teammates, of course, are firing. I switched to HE because of the 32 millimeters of penetration, and we do get 1 torpedo hit. Can we get another torpedo hit? Not in time. Teammates take him out. And now we're so far away from anything that the only thing I can do is give you a cut. And now we're back in the action. Magically, we are right in front of the enemy, who has knocked out everyone else on the east side. I am moving forward, and we have a couple enemy ships in front of us. There's a Massachusetts B that's pretty low on the south side of B. There's also a Vladivostok that's nearly full life. There's some other ship on the north side. I think it's Colorado, so it's going to take him 8 years to get over to us. If we can force an engagement, we might get some extra damage for free. That's one of the reasons why I like to move the tempo along, and that's one of the reasons why I could see some value in these torpedoes because of the super low cooldown. So we're lining up some torps on this guy. I'm considering, okay, where's he going, and why are we under radar? I didn't see a target. Oh, there's Seattle. Great. So we're going to send torps forward to the Seattle. We're going to move away, disengaging. Very maneuverable, very effective, just like the 46 in my opinion. I think you can easily use it to dodge very similar situations just like that. And of course, we moved out of range, so he can't detect us. I could decide to use my smoke since there's so many friendlies in the area, and that's in fact what I decide to do. It does, however, drop to Seattle. I didn't expect that, and we didn't expect to land so many torpedoes on the Vlad. He kind of turned into it at the last second, and I think he dropped his speed. He is nose in, though, so the only thing we can shoot is HE. But he did have to use his damage control, so we might get to follow up and look at the cooldown on the torpedoes. Plus, he's also broadside. Because his nose is broadside, I can aim for it with either HE or AP. We do get a fire on it. Nice. I do switch to AP, and my torpedoes are nearly back up. Very convenient, obviously. One that we will take advantage of, and hopefully we can land them. I am also trying to keep track on that Seattle, obviously, because of radar, and are the teammates going to kill him before my torpedoes? Get a little antsy, and we're just going to fire. You know, it's always like, well, guess I can just fire a little bit. You know, we got a little bit of damage before someone swoops in and gets the kill. And that's exactly what happens. They take the target down. All we got left is the Colorado and the Seattle. And we got two based in there, one with about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So you can clearly see that there are opportunities to send and resend torpedoes very frequently. Having a very similar playstyle to, obviously, a Japanese torpedo or maybe a high rate of fire torpedo, maybe like the Benham. Although the Benham has 4 separate launchers, this only has 2. So the Benham is much more accustomed to sending and sending and sending and sending and sending. Whereas the 44 kind of has a window where it can send, and then send. Or send. So you can have like a little bit of a boost alpha, but not anywhere near the continuous level of torpedoes that the Benham, of course, brings. Now this enemy Seattle, once again, he's using his radar, and once again, I am in position to avoid that by using, obviously, the island. Now, I sent torpedoes, hoping that we would get something, but it doesn't look like we're getting anything, and the Seattle's radar does drop off. Friendly did send torpedoes just before they died, and he is obviously, he was inside a sea for half a second, and then he wasn't. Oh, he's just going to move past the torpedoes just barely. If they were the faster torpedoes, probably would have hit him, but they weren't. They were slow. So that's one of those situations where if I would have had torpedo acceleration, it might have led to some damage on the Seattle. But if I had torpedo acceleration, I probably wouldn't have sent my torpedo as frequently as I am. So, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So it's all what you want to do. And to me, I'm having a lot of issues justifying this ship. It's just giving up too many factors that make the Germans effective, and it's not really fulfilling that super torpedo that I was hoping for, because these torpedoes, they don't hit very hard. So they're similar to Pan-Europeans in the damage output, but they move at a much slower rate, and just hard to recommend spending anything on this, especially when you can unlock the Z-44 for free. That seems like the better bargain, and I'm sure you'll agree too, but hey, the game was good. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent or the most relevant uploads. You could also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do World of Warship videos, first impression, how-to, news, and review related. My North American recruit invite is on the screen. You can take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.